Welcome to the Pastel Society of America's first demonstration to celebrate our 51st annual Enduring Brilliance exhibit. Our first artist is Michele Ashby. Michele earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in graphic design with honors and then forged a successful career running her own business in the same vein. She made the leap to follow her dream of becoming a full-time artist 7 years ago and hasn't looked back. Michele is a master pastelist and signature member of the Pastel Society of America, a Master Circles member of the International Association of Pastel Societies, a council member of the Society of Women Artists, an associate member of the Society of Graphic Fine Artists, a member of the Institute of East Anglian Artists, and a Unison Color Pastels associate artist. She's won many awards and has exhibited at the National Arts Club, the Butler Institute of American Art, the Shoe Center in Chicago, and several art societies in the Mall Galleries in London. Please welcome Michele Ashby.
Hi everyone, my name is Michele Ashby and I'm very excited to be demonstrating for the Pastel Society of America. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to produce a pastel portrait with a limited warm palette using the colour of the paper as the mid-tone. I'll be working in pastel pencils along with Richardson's pastel sticks, and I'm going to be producing it on this beautiful bright orange paper which comes as part of a pad of these beautiful warm tones here. There's a selection of 6. They're lovely. I've worked on all of them. They're really wonderful. And today I'm going to be working on this very bright orange here, that one. So let's get started. Just to give you all an idea of the pastels that I will be using from Richardson's, they are 089 at the top, 074, 111, 225, 113 and 129 at the bottom. Hopefully you can see those all quite clearly. I will also be using pastel pencils that correspond to these colours for the detail that's necessary. Also, I forgot to say, there are actually 2 sides to this paper. There's a very textured side and then there's a flatter side. I'll be using the textured side, so if you want to follow along, but you can use the other side too. This actually obviously holds a little bit more pastel. So I'm using a purple colour to draw everything out and doing it by eye. It's going to take a little bit of time, so instead of watching me do this, I'm going to carry on and draw this out and then come back to you, okay? Okay, so now I have the basic shapes drawn out, kind of as an outline really, with a couple of shady bits in. I'm going to work on the tone, so this is where the fun starts. I'm a bit all over the place, so my granddaughter is 1 month old, so my mind could be slightly elsewhere, but I work from dark to light. Here's some of the pastel pencils I'll be using. I don't really mind which brand I use, I just like the colour to be right, so that's the selection of what I'll be using. I've sort of tried them out, as well as this dark purple. Okay, so now I have the image drawn out. I use this dark pastel pencil, this purple, which I thought was a great tone on this paper. It's a Faber-Castell. I use Faber-Castell a lot. I find their colour range brilliant. They have absolutely loads of different colours, good selection, and they work well, and you don't really use that much pastel, to be honest. It's a good value for money pastel. Now I'm going to work in to some of the areas, picking up the darks, emphasising the shapes that I've already made, and creating some of the lights and darks in the hair. So here we go. This area up here is a little bit confusing because it looks partly like the hand, but it also looks partly like the hair, so just going to go with what feels right, to be honest. I'm blocking in these large areas. With this particular paper, as I said, it's quite lightly textured, and I quite like the texture coming through, and coupled with the fact that I tend to have quite a light touch. So I mean, sometimes I blend with my fingers, sometimes I don't. It just depends on kind of the finish that I want. So I probably will do a bit of blending with my fingers in a minute, but at the moment I'm quite happy to just block in these dark, larger areas. You have to keep standing back to get an idea of the amount of tone that you're putting on, see whether it's working out okay. Obviously this area around here is all deeply in shadow and the hair is very dark as well, so that combination will make it one of the darkest areas. So that's an area where we can blend with the finger, because it's not hard line here. Obviously I want the neck to go into the shoulder shape in a very soft and gentle way. So a little bit of a lost edge there, so a little bit of finger blending, just a tiny bit. As you can see, I'm trying to leave the highlighted areas for later, so I'm trying to keep them quite clean, and I will put them in at the end. So trying to add some form to the face here. And there's quite a lot of push and pull with a rubber as well, so any areas that you want to take back that seem to have filled in, just put your putty rubber on there and rub it away gently. It also helps to create those softer edges rather than having a thick black line around, but there's enough there to hold the shape for when you want to put in the strong highlights. Okay, now as the pastel could smudge quite easily, being a left-handed person, I sometimes try to work from right to left or top to bottom like that, so that I don't have this problem of smudging, but I'm not doing it like that today. I'm just going with the flow, doing what I want to do. Now that I've put most of the darks in for the face and the neck area, I want to move on to this arm, and again this is quite a big solid shape, apart from these lovely reflections from the shadows from the hair, which are beautiful. So I'm going to come back and do these, but I should block in this arm. Again, this is pretty boring and time consuming, so I shall meet you on the other side of that. Okay, so I've added some number 90 Richardsons to make the darks even darker in certain areas, and I'll be doing that throughout with a couple of the other colours too, like this lovely deep red colour here. So yeah, I've been mixing the two together with the Faber-Castell purple. I'm still going in with that and layering that, so I shall keep doing this and come back to you in a minute. So now I'm indicating this area here, which is the shadow of the hair curls, and where it reaches this this tone here, this mid-tone, I'm pressing obviously much lighter. I mean, a much lighter touch, so that this orange shows through and it looks more in keeping with a shadow curl. But when it goes over here, which is the darker area, you can let go a bit more and add some depth to the tone. Here's another really dark area down here. It's the furthest away from the light, so it's going to be the darkest part. As the shoulder bone sort of folds away from the light, so this will be very, very dark and clear. A lovely highlight down here, so make sure you don't go right up to the edge, if you like, of this shape, but to allow for that highlight. And if you keep the paper cleaner, you'll get a stronger highlight. So the backbone crevice, if you like, is here, much lighter tone with this purple to create realism of the shape of the body. Lighter towards the edge, just very light amount of colour, and then a bit stronger as the shoulder bone is emphasised there. If you look on the reference, don't know whether you can see very well here, but the shape of the body goes obviously into the breast here. This is very dark under here too, so that's what I'm emphasising right now, and then pressing lighter and lighter to create a rounded form. Trying to leave some areas a bit cleaner, so when the highlight's added, it will look really sharp. Everybody has their own way, whether they blend or don't blend. Like I said earlier, sometimes I blend with a blender, sometimes I blend with my fingers, as you can see. The good thing with blending like this is you never get a really harsh line, which obviously you don't want when it comes to the body form. You want it to be a soft edge. Carry on doing this area here. Come back to you in a minute. Okay, I've added more dark to the back here, more of the darkest tone, leaving that little pop of, I think it's muscle there, not really sure, probably should find out. Just blending these bits here, trying to leave that bit quite light because there's some light catching there on that side. That'd be a nice little highlight. Now I'm just pushing this tone over the rest of the paper. Rather than using my pastel, I'm using my finger to move that about to create another toned area. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. That's the main part of the darks in, I think. Can always go back into it, that's the great thing about pastel. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. Still probably needs a bit of push and pull. This area here could do with being darker, but that's fine for now. And then as it goes into the hand, as this tone dark goes into the hand over here, over into the hair, it gets lighter with just a couple of darker areas around where the fingers meet. So now what I'm going to do is to do this area here, this beautiful orangey yellowy colour. So I've picked a colour that's a bit lighter than the background, as you can see. Got a couple of orangey colours here. This one's pretty spot on to the background. Doesn't really do a lot, to be honest. Sometimes I will fix what I've done before I move forward. I'm just adding a little bit of orange into here, but you have to be quite careful because it can go a bit muddy. Yeah, that's a bit better. Anyway, so I'm going to use this lighter tone, so lighter than the paper colour. So it's kind of a high, well, it is a highlight obviously because it's lighter, but it won't be the strongest highlight that I use. So leaving these areas here to be the purpley orange, and then as the light captures this area of the back, it emphasises this highlight area of the shoulder and the shoulder blade. And again, the great thing about pastels is you can create absolutely stacks of different tone just by the amount of pressure that you use. So here it's a lot lighter in the image, so I'm pressing a lot harder. Trying to be mindful of the makeup of the body too, which is always tricky. And if you use your finger, you can blend it back if you're not happy. So this is the light, very light area that goes into the neck here. And there's a little fold in the skin as the shoulder joins the arm. And then apart from that, it's a very light smattering of this there on that area. I'm adding this colour. This is actually a De Lironi. Can you see that? Don't know whether you can. Yeah, there. They don't make these anymore, which is so annoying, because I have to say I think they're brilliant. They do a lilac, which I use in just about every portrait, or I used to, but now I've had to find an alternative, because they don't make them anymore. So I'm just finding these highlighted areas here. I'm going to put a slightly lighter tone than the paper, but then, and as you can see, I'm trying to follow the form, so I'm not going up and down like this. I'm trying to follow the form, the contours of the form with my brush strokes. It's a constant push and pull. Quite like this in here. Just remembered I need to clean my hands if I'm going to be blending these areas, because I don't want to get don't want to get purple on there. So there's a lovely bright yellow in here. And blended with the kind of pinky peach of that colour I put down previously. That works so nicely over here. And I think so the lightest tone is here, and on the face here, probably, maybe there. So I'm going to reserve this Faber-Castell 103 for that. It's a creamy colour, which works really well. So I'm going to put some of the midtones in, and I'll come back to you in a minute. I've been adding some highlights or highlighted areas here, because there's some light. If you look at the reference, there's light obviously bouncing onto the face, and there would be light coming here. There's artificial light here, which will be warmer. So this light here, this area should have some cooler highlights. It's a bit too bright. emphasising that light coming through there, which I think is lovely. I'm not doing this as carefully as I would do if I was doing a commission or wanting to add more detail, but for the purpose of this demonstration, I hope it gives you enough of an idea of how I've been working with these lovely bright coloured pieces of paper. The highlights on the face are always lovely to work on, although I tend to find that I can ruin it quite easily by overcooking it. We'll see. I think the ear has got quite a little red in it, which is lovely. Extra tone in there. Might include that on the cheek. Just to warm that up slightly, and maybe then. And back to the dark. Not making it too dark though, because here you've got the eyelashes and that eyebrows, which are the darkest part. Just want to put these bits in. That's better. Oopsie, that's not in the right place. But luckily, because it's pastel, we can go over it. I think we'll leave that a little bit actually. Tiny highlight in the actual eye area. That's what I was trying to put in. Coming. In this area here under the chin, if you look at the reference, there isn't a hard highlight like on the eyelid, but this is obviously the neck is going this way, so the light is coming up really softly, which is really nice. So instead of having a harsh line, I just really lightly use the highlight colour and just kind of push it towards the face, like that, to give a kind of a glowy effect. Whereas this one here, this highlight, this is quite a strong highlight, it's more linear because that's a quicker turn into the shoulder. Lost my colours now. So I've got most of the details that I want where I want them. The next part really would be to do the hair. Now the hair, as you can see, there's loads of it and it's all over the place. So I'm not going to put in every tiny last strand of hair. I'm going to work on the mass of tones again. So I haven't finished these fingers in here, so this is a couple of fingers in here, and then the hair goes kind of a bit, probably out just about to the edge of the paper. Now I'm going to lightly put in some shapes to suggest the overall area that the hair covers. I'm doing it really, really lightly because I don't want to dirty up the colours when I put in oranges and reds. So I'm doing it with a kind of a wavy pattern because obviously her hair is wavy. Those details can be put in later. But this area here obviously comes in front of the ear. It's the most foremost part, so I want to keep that area quite light, apart from this area up here which is dark, which is around the hand area. and just have a bit of fun with it, really. Just take the pressure off when it gets to lighter parts, and then add more pressure. Whether that's this bit here, so following on from the shadow on the neck, that kind of is almost like a straight line going up to the back, the nape of the neck, and up, which would be like this, the head shape. So this is quite important, this area here, to make it more convincing as a head. So keep that dark area there. That indicates the back of the neck and the back of the head. But apart from that, all the rest is just hair. I'm going to put in some darks and I'll see you in a minute. I'm adding this Richardson's as an extra strength area to some of the shadows. So like I said, in here, in the hair mass, areas like around where the hair is here too, and underneath the breast there, because that would be very much underneath the body. Just a touch, don't go too mad. I just realised there's a little area here. Could do just the lightest touch of definition. That's it. And then this, I can see there's a lovely curl coming around here, around her neck, which actually helps with the neck formation. I'll put that in. This area I'm not going to do. I'm not putting in her tattoo. I don't think it's necessary, and yeah, I don't want to. So that's the good thing about being an artist. You can put in and leave out what you want. Okay, back to the hair. So these are the very darkest parts of the hair. Using the dust from these very dark areas to add a little bit of colour to these areas, because these areas won't have much light on them at all. They'll just be the odd curl that catches the light here. All the light really is around here, this area. So that's the darkest part of the hair done. Now I need to find a colour that is like a deep orange, darker than the paper. Yeah, darker than the paper. So I'm going to go off and find that. I'll be back in a minute. So I found this colour, 141 Jack Richardson's, and I'm going to be using that next. Quite a nice colour, this. Okay, so I think that's enough of that colour. It's a bit too bright. So adding the highlights for the hair, just trying to keep the pastel moving to give that idea of curls, sort of taking my pastel off and on the page so that it's not too solid a line. With curls, they go everywhere. So allow your pastel movement. Come in now. There's a few golden areas. Don't really know which colours to use. Maybe this yellowy colour under here. Some sort of, it's a bit too yellow to be honest, so I'm going to use it sparingly. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as it gives an idea of hair. It's obviously not a realistic depiction, it's an interpretation of the reference, and it's this lovely warm colour here that I wanted to pick up on, so that's why I decided to use these warm tones and produce this piece. Anyway, got sidetracked. And then this is the lightest light on the Richardson's that I'm going to be using. It's number 68, which is quite similar to the Faber-Castell down here. Quite similar, not spot on, but it gives another highlighty colour. Again, I'm going to use it quite sparingly. Turn it a bit too off. Running it over the yellow because I felt that the yellow was a little bit too yellow, funny enough. I think we need to go in with an orange again. There's a couple more oranges. This is a number 93 and this is a 95. Sometimes I sharpen these to a point using one of these, and they're very handy. Pick them up for a couple of pounds. They're very, very handy for sharpening, and but other times I use them just like this. So it's just whatever you feel works. Doesn't matter what you use or how you use it. And then areas that you think are too highlighted, just add some dark in. to wipe my hands now. Okay. Now I'm using the pastel that I originally drew out with to put in a little bit more definition in the hair, just a bit. I think it just helps tie the dark to the light, really. That's a bit better. Too tempting not to do a couple of these beautiful curls. And again, I'm alternating my pressure from light to dark, going along the curl to emphasise where there's more hair and less hair. Love these shapes. And I think, well, I could probably go on forever, but I think that hopefully is enough to show you the kind of thing I've been up to recently with this lovely coloured paper. So a little highlight there, a lighter area. I don't know quite whether this will work. Lovely red in here. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I think it's enough to show you, like I say, what I've been up to. Just put in this. Her shorts. And that's Heatwave. So I'll put this one to bed now, and I'll show you a few other portraits that I've done in a similar kind of a style, using the background as the mid. Hi, me again, just to show you a few of the pieces that I've been working on recently that are in a very similar style to the portrait that I've done today. I thought you might like to see some of the funky colours that I was talking about. So here's a selection. Lovely hot red. And this one was just 2 pastels for the shaded area, the dark areas and the highlights. Really, I love this bit here that goes into the background. So I've tried to create that a lot recently, work on that anyway. This is a fellow artist called Kay Hodges who allowed me to use this reference. So this is obviously the same bright orange, but I've tried to leave as much of the background of colour in her skin tones as possible. Just a few highlights in her face. This one was from a reference that I took while in Paris. I couldn't wait to get home to paint this lady, and here I've used obviously just flesh tones and white and a black, or it might have been a dark grey, to emphasise the areas that I wanted to draw people's eye to, i.e. her face and her hat, down to her arm, through her headphones and the pad that she's writing on. The rest of it I felt was it wasn't necessary to add colour there, so I've tried to keep that very much in the background. This is the hot red again. It was this lady's glasses that drew me to her. I knew as soon as I saw her that I was going to use the hot red colour and pick that out and not add it into the glasses. It's good fun. And then this is the most recent one that I've produced, on the red again, and I've tried to not use hardly any detail in the polar neck jumper, but to use the shadow and dark areas to describe it and just highlight the areas of his face and his head. So that concludes my pastel demonstration for the Pastel Society of America. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you've learnt something, and yeah, enjoy. Take care. Bye bye.